Hey everyone. Hi. Happy Sunday. As promised, Katie and I are back. Katie will be here in a couple minutes. And I just wanted to get the chat going. We're calling this part 2 because yesterday we went live and some of you joined us and it was fantastic. And we intended to go through some of the cross-examination of Alex Murdaugh, and partly because it's kind of controversial, but it's the last thing that happened in the trial before tomorrow. But also for me, I'm trying to do it like if I were a juror there, what would I be thinking? Try to pretend like I don't know what I know already. Oh, here's Katie. Hey, Katie. Hi.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
You got all the kitties to bed?
Yeah, they're all passed out. That's good.
Nice.
Hopefully we have a
How
full
was
week of school.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. How's the snow there? Or are you going to have more?
No, now we're supposed to get rain because it's the temperature here is insane. So it went from like stupid cold to now we're going to get rain. So a lot of snow actually melted today. So that's nice.
Oh, that's fantastic. Hi, Lady Cymbeline. Hi, Debbie. Katie called you Chris yesterday. LOL. Called me Chris? Katie called me Chris yesterday. Debbie is so smart. Like this lady, she doesn't miss a thing.
Okay.
Katie called me Chris. Oh, that's funny.
Oh, that's
Okay.
funny. I didn't notice that.
Do you remember,
Oops.
Debbie, in what context that was? I'm going to pull up this video here. By the way, I think I mentioned yesterday that, I know what's obvious, right, with the Alex Murdaugh situation, but I think I mentioned I have like 100 different theories, not just one. And I think what I was trying to say is, I think I'm doing that because I feel at least that the prosecution isn't filling in enough of the blanks, so I'm doing it on my own with my but I'm a highly imaginative person as well.
Yeah.
And I think not because of what Alex said on the 911 caller to the police about Paul, but my immediate thought was it was about the Paul and the boat crash, that somebody was upset about that and they were maybe avenging. And so it's like, did he go after Paul, but maybe Maggie was there, or was he going after Maggie and Paul? So there's all these different ideas I had about how this thing went down. And I was even thinking that maybe even there was an argument and Paul had his pills and they confiscated his pills and took his pills away. You don't do that to a man.
Right.
And then I was thinking maybe Paul had his pills, I may have said this already, in his pocket, and that's why he was grabbing him by the belt loop.
Oh.
Right. Or maybe Paul went after him, or he was holding a gun to Maggie, give me the pills, or I'll shoot your mother. So many things could have happened. And then he shoots it, or maybe Paul had a gun and he got it from him, or maybe Paul was going for the gun on that second shot. That's why he was so close and he might have been on the ground. All these, there's just so much that could have happened. But bottom line is I just do not know how he would have done that and gotten all cleaned up, and they don't have evidence, of it, that he had it on him, whatever it is. Okay, so Debbie is detail-oriented, and that's good. She says she wished Camille Vasquez questioned him instead of Creighton. Do you know who Camille is? She's an attorney she's a very good attorney, and she was on the Johnny Depp team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and then she got kind of insta famous in a way after that. She's really, but yeah, so the questioning I thought was strange. So, okay. Why do you think Paul took the video? Which one?
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a Monday day. I mean, I don't think he took it for any, I don't think there was any, it seemed like everything was copacetic at least at that point, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, there didn't seem to be any.
Yeah, I think he was just, no, because he was taking that video of Cash to send to Rogan.
Right.
So that was that one. But
yeah, because
I think the other one was just funny because he couldn't get the freaking tree to stand up.
Right. They were just being silly.
Yeah.
And it's something that he would have done. I mean,
yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna find but basically the premise of our live stream was more or less to talk about this cross-examination. I want to talk, I mean, I wanted to talk about the other cross-examinations prior in the case too, but I just think the crosses are more interesting. And then just if I were on the jury, if you were on the jury, if Katie was on the jury, if anyone here in the chat was on the jury, I think what I set it up yesterday as is, did that cross-examination move the needle for you? Like if you were already saying guilty or already saying not guilty or just not sure, too many questions unanswered, did it move the needle or not?
Right.
And I think you
said, I come into it saying he's guilty, as you know. So that just, it didn't move the needle to not guilty at all. It moved it, honestly, I don't know if it moved it more, but I think it, to me, it proved more guilt that he is guilty. But for you, it did the opposite. So
it confirmed what you already believed.
Yeah.
There was confirmation.
Yes.
And for me, it didn't do anything for me. So, I mean, I guess it confirmed what I already believed, which is that I don't feel like and this isn't about whether I feel Paul is guilty or Alex is guilty or whatever. I'm just looking at it as, if I'm on the jury and I'm told, reasonable doubt, and I'm read those instructions, I would take that very seriously. I mean, this man, and you know what, the other thing that's kind of controversial is how Alex's lawyer, I think it was Poot, Harpootlian, who said, well, he's going to jail for the rest of his life anyway, or something like that. Like, so how would that affect you as a juror? Would you be like, oh, then I'll just go ahead and do guilty because it's not going to matter, or I'm going to do not guilty because it's not going to matter?
I would still I would still go guilty, but not because of the financial crimes. Like, it wouldn't matter if he was already facing life in prison for those. I would still go guilty because I think he's guilty.
Okay.
So,
go ahead.
I posed a question on Twitter that I don't know if you saw the thread or anything, but it was about like if the state has proved the time of death, because we were talking about that yesterday.
Oh, right.
And I thought that was interesting.
Yes, I glanced at it, but I've been really busy today. But let's talk about that. Okay, so hey, Lorenzo, nice to see you. Long time no see. Debbie says supposedly a few jurors were PISSED with the prosecution and rolling their eyes. Yeah, I felt exasperated by it.
Okay.
I felt like, and I think you said you did too, a little bit.
There were times,
enough. Okay, we got it. It just was pretty repetitive, and I don't. And so, in that sense, I don't think it accomplished much for me.
Yeah. The thing about Creighton and the way he asks questions, though, sometimes I'm like, oh, he really should have asked more specific yes or no questions. Like, but at the same time, those are so closed, they're not open-ended, so you don't get Alec talking. And for some of those questions, he literally couldn't sit quiet in that silence. And I remember tweeting at one point, Keep digging a hole, Alec. Keep digging your hole, because there were a couple times where he filled that silence, you know, where if Creighton would have asked just a simple yes or no question, then I don't think you would have gotten some of the stuff that you got.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But what do you think he got? What do you think? Can you remember? Like Friday was a long time ago, but can you remember?
I know. No, but there was one specific.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll think about it. No, I'll think about it. I'll see what I can come up with.
I'm going to read a couple of Debbie's comments
before
we start the video. Okay, so Debbie also said she thinks he'll get off because he wasn't frazzled or intimidated. I don't know if he'll get
on the stand. That makes sense.
He was polite. He didn't fight back. He was actually very smart, and I would have done the same thing. What is your question, Mr. Waters?
Yeah.
Waters, and what surprised me is that the defense table did not object to his compound. Like, what was he even asking half the time? And I think I think he got a little bit lost in himself there. And the way he ended it, he was exasperated. It's like, yeah, thank you. You know, we are too. I didn't think it was that great. Okay, so here's what do you remember what the first question was that Waters asked Alec? The very first question.
Was it, did you kill your wife and son?
No, that would make more sense.
I mean, no, I don't remember the first question.
Let's take a look at it. Okay, so let's see if I can find it. Let's see, what day was that? Day 20.
Yeah, right. It would have been day 24.
Okay, all right, let me go back. Because we're not going to go through the whole 8 hours, obviously.
Oh gosh, no.
They've got a lot of clips here, clipped in Long Crime Daily.
Oh, okay.
But I don't want to. I kind of want to clip it myself, so I'm looking for the actual trial. Oh my gosh! Sorry, guys. I should have done this ahead of time. All right, here we go. Here we go. And so the first, he started actually on Thursday, right? So when Thursday, Friday. Okay, so let me go back one more because this is Friday.
It was Thursday at like 2-ish. I remember right.
Afternoon. Oops. So it'd have been day 21. Okay. Sorry, peeps. I should have done this ahead of time. Okay, here we go. All right, so stop talking. I'm gonna. It's like they have all the talking heads in between.
Oh yeah.
All right, I think this is it.
Okay. I tried to watch it on Law and Crime, but there were so many people watching it that I switched it over to the Fitz News.
Yeah, the Fitz News. I kind of went back and forth. Of course, I was not commenting or saying anything. You know, I don't love that people. I mean, the whole idea, and maybe it's just I'm not expressing myself properly, but the thing that's the most interesting to me, even if I know, you know, is somebody is guilty or whatever, I'm real interested in how it's presented.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in learning about that and being on top of that. And I really appreciate that these trials are available on video because this could be somebody we know one day. Let's hope not. But there are so many wrongfully accused people in prison that it's worth questioning. So I don't question it because, oh, I'm falling for Alex. I mean, come on. No, it's just I'm skeptical about how the whole thing.
The system has to work.
Yeah, and he even expressed distrust in SLED. It's like, was something going on with them? I mean, there are corrupt.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah.
Yep.
I was listening to another true crime podcast, and it's two previous detectives. They're both now retired, but then they tell the stories from the detective side of things. And they actually brought in a defense attorney, and they were like doing a sidebar with her. So they did 2 episodes just talking about her too. And it was interesting because both her, the defensive attorney, and both detectives said, I would so much rather let a guilty person go than put an innocent person in prison, because that's telling me that the system isn't working.
Exactly.
And I thought that was so good to hear. And so they're not wrong, because just this weekend again, I saw that Jeff Titus, is that his name, was finally released from prison after 20 years when he had a solid alibi for the supposed shootings. And anyway, that's off on a tangent.
And because I think that they've done a kind of a poor job of not just the investigation, but the actual presentation and the charges, that I feel like, since I know he's going to prison anyway, I know I said this to you at one point, it'd be like, I think I would go. I'm not so sure. I'm just not. You haven't convinced me. I'd be more probably, to be honest, in his case, more likely to say, I can't decide, or.
I know, but then, okay, so then you say that, but then like, if people find him, if they find him not guilty, then Maggie and Paul get no justice, because they're not going to go back and try and find the real murderer. So that's kind of heartbreaking.
I don't think that's true. If he's found not guilty, they would have to go continue.
They don't have an investigation for anybody else.
Well, that's the problem. That's the point. They would have to then. They would have to.
I don't think I mean, they might have to, but I don't think they would. And honestly, if it's a hung jury or a mistrial, I truly don't think that they're going to retry him, because they got him on the financial crimes anyway.
A lot of people say they will still do it. Like, they've got it going for him. The other thing is
so funny, because I heard people in the state's corner saying that they would not do it. So
I don't see why they should. I don't think they should, because they don't have they need.
They wasted already so many resources and money and time.
The last 4 weeks of our life.
Oh my God.
We'd be all like, no, we're not going to watch it. Don't do it.
Yeah, no, I would not. I'm like, I can't do this again.
The other thing is, hey, good looking. Peter North here. Oh, okay. I've been glued to the case, and I honestly believe he'll walk free from the murder. Thank you, Peter. Sorry. And then he says he'll probably do 3 years in prisons for stealing money. Oh, I think he's going to do more than that.
Yeah, he's going to do a lot more than that. Yeah, because of the number of charges.
Yeah, over 90. So even if he did 3 years for each one, that's 270 years. So which is why I say what I say. But the other thing is, I've heard some people say, well, you can't argue that it was a sloppy investigation, la, la, la. Well, they could say it was a sloppy investigation because they already thought he did it. So they didn't investigate enough to prove otherwise. So you can.
Some people say that
mutually exclusive is what I'm saying.
Excuse me. I don't know how to feel about that.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't think it says anything to say, well, it was a sloppy investigation. Yeah, it doesn't really say anything. And no investigation is perfect. We know that. Okay, let's.
But this was atrocious. But anyway.
All right, let's see if I did this right. Oh, there's his face. Oh boy. All right. Okay, here we go. Let me I've got it muted.
On the kennel video at 8:44.
Oh, sorry, it's not ready. It's still our I thought I had, oh my gosh. I thought I had it. Oh, they took a break and then So
Oh, but I will say with Law and Crime, I do like their stream because of the 3 cameras. That's really nice.
Yes, that's great. Okay, sorry. Okay, there's Toot. All right, let's see if this is it. Hour off.
Were you surprised? Yeah.
He made him wait. It was like, this was a little bit of strategy.
Sure.
Was I surprised what?
That it was Griffin, not Cross, but the opposite of Cross. It was Griffin and not Harpootlian.
No.
Okay.
Griffin is so much better than I'm glad it was.
He is.
No,
he is.
He's literally making him squirm. You see him squirming in his chair. He's waiting. That was tactical. It's not comfortable up there, especially that tall with all those legs. Like, come on.
Seeing pictures and videos of Alex before he lost his weight is so weird to me.
It's so weird. It doesn't look like the same person.
No, not even a little.
He's actually decent looking. I mean, when he doesn't have snot coming out of his. He's got kind of. Yeah. Okay, Alex is innocent and did great on the stand. According to Bitcoin, is a scam. All right. Why do you feel he was innocent? Is it because what I'm saying that the prosecutors didn't do their job, or do you think he's innocent generally?
Yeah.
Oh, they're good.
Thank you. Cross-examination.
Please, court.
Mr. Murdaugh, let's start with a few things I think we can agree on.
All right, sir.
You agree that the most important part of your testimony here today is explaining your lie for a year and a half that you were never down at those kennels at 8:44.
Okay, I'm thinking of day 2, the first question he had.
Okay.
And it was about whether he remembered him in college or not.
No.
That was day 2.
That was not his first question.
I think it was day 2. No, obviously it wasn't. This was his first
question. No. But on day 2, that was his first question.
It was
at the beginning.
First question at some point. I don't remember. Wow. It was after a break or whatever, but it just like.
Yeah, that's so weird.
I got so caught up just on that for a while. I couldn't stop thinking about that. I'm like, what is going on here? And then with the SLED possibly being corrupt and he's the DA, it's like, what is happening here? And how tall is that dude? Just kidding, everyone. I'm the protagonist here. Yes, he looks much better thin.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, yes. Good point. Bitcoin is a scam. That's funny. That's a good point. The detective giving false information to the grand jury. Hello? What?
He didn't know it was false at that time.
It doesn't matter. It was false. I mean,
but he didn't know. He was testifying.
But the point is he was arrested based on the grand jury. So that like just totally, and then the evidence is so scant on top of it. And it's based on false information. I'm not saying he did it on purpose or not. That doesn't matter. What matters is it's not correct information. And that bothers me a lot for fairness. He may have been an alcoholic, red face. Yeah, he seemed to be sunburned a lot. I mean, in that hot sun. With that pale, that fair skin. So, okay. So yes, this is a stronger opening than I thought it was. I was thinking of the college thing. I think that's the next.
Got it.
Would you agree with that?
That's why I want to look at it again because
I think all of my testimony is important, Mr. Ward.
I think the first day was just. I feel like we can just skip the first day.
Exactly.
of cross because it was all just the financial crimes.
Right.
And like
Well,
many have said, and like you said too, it was, I feel like a little bit of it was a stall tactic
it was.
because he only had 2 hours to cross.
Doing a time, and as a juror, that ticks me off.
Yeah.
And I suspected that before anyone said it. So I sensed
Yeah.
that. I was like, what is happening here? And the
Yeah.
jurors were miffed. Let me just see how long it takes them to get to the financials.
That's an important part of your testimony.
Sure.
All right. And would you also agree that the first time that law enforcement officers that you've talked to,
I'll speed
and
it
the
up.
prosecution, and here in open court ever heard you say that you lied about being in kennels was today in this court?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
You agree with that?
Yes, sir.
All this time later, this is the first time you've ever said that.
Yes, sir.
And you would agree with me that for years you were stealing money from clients
Hi, 2D.
Yes, sir. I agree with that.
and that you were stealing from your law firm,
Yes, sir. I agree with that.
and that had been going on since at least 2010.
I'm not sure the exact date, but it's been going on a long time. I'll agree with
All right,
that.
what's your best guess?
Okay. So for those of you who are complaining that Alex went on and on and on with his answers, he did not when the questions were formed properly. The
Sure.
problem with Alex going on and on and on was that Creighton Waters was going on. And with the open-ended questions and compound open-ended questions that should have
Yeah.
been objected to, I would have gone on and on because he has that right, in other words.
Yeah. He was
He
asked the question. He has the right to answer it.
Yes, and he wasn't saying, if anything, the judge allowed him to finish because Creighton was trying to interrupt him, and you could see that. And normally the judge rules for
What do you mean?
the prosecutors, and he was like, no, let him finish his question. He was asking those kinds of questions. So I don't buy that. Okay, so let's go back to day 2. So I just was curious how long it took them.
To the
I'm
date.
not sure. I don't take a dispute with 2010. I just don't know that for sure.
All right, sure about a lot of things. You don't know that. Is that correct?
I'm fine with that date, Mr. Waters. I don't have any reason to dispute it. I'm just not certain.
See, I really liked, I know I sped that up, but I really liked just nothing to do with the trial or anything, seeing how he handled somebody who was trying to get under his skin. And I would like to learn those skills too. That is very skillful. He was trying to, and so many times Murdaugh said, okay, if that's what you say, I'll agree with that. That's no problem. He was
Yeah, but I felt like he was using that against Creighton by saying that.
well, because
I didn't feel like he was doing it out of like respect. I feel like he was doing it to be a dick and be like, yeah, I can't dispute that because you got the records.
well, why is that? I'm just saying he didn't fall for Creighton's trying to poke him with that.
He did not. No.
Right. And I'm not mad at him for that. I think that's a great
No.
Yeah. Okay, I just want to see how long it took him. I'm just curious now how long it took Creighton to get to the financial.
All right. Let's just keep on things that we may be able to agree about. And let's talk first about your family's legacy here in the legal profession, okay?
Boom. Okay, so I'd say it was about a minute and a half. He got
but that's not this isn't the financial crimes. This is about his parents being the DA for the last 100 years.
It has nothing to do with the murder.
Sure. I get it.
So he pivoted within a minute to a minute and a half. And that whole day was just droning on and on about what we already know. Okay, so that's all I was. Okay. So we'll go to the next day then. Which is, yeah. Okay, so Debbie says, not Alex's fault. He's a seasoned prosecutor also. That's right.
Yes, yep.
That's right. I mean, he answered the way he should. I never would have been able to do that. I would have been so annoyed. I would have been snarky. I mean, I would like to be able to handle questions like that. Prosecutor seemed intimidated by Alex, and it should be the other way around. Correct. I wouldn't disagree with that. I don't know if he felt intimidated, but he thought he could bully him.
He did. And that did not work out. Yeah.
And it made him look like a dumb bully instead of a good prosecutor. He brought him down a notch because I really was looking forward to some really great stuff from him. But he'll recover. It's not over yet. Bitcoin. I think Murder proved he has a good lawyer against Creighton. remained calm, knew what to and what not to say. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, like a politician. Exactly.
Yep, very much so. Yeah.
But does that mean he's a murderer? No. Okay, let's go back to 2 days ago. Sorry about that.
From the jury meeting, I know they're getting down to maybe the last.
Oops, sorry. They cut out the. Have you watched the beginning when they bring Alex out of the car? It's like he's in a cage. It's horrible. I mean, I get so claustrophobic. Oh, I would not want to ever be arrested. Just
admit that your stealing increased.
oops. Okay, here we go.
For the double murder of his wife Maggie and son Paul, who found shot to death on their family property on June 7th, 2021. As we could go live, we want to listen a little bit more to Murdaugh's testimony from yesterday. And this is where he tells the jury, I can't believe he said it, about his suicide scheme.
Remember what happened that day?
We're on yesterday. Look at his face there and his eyes.
Oh, he's mad.
Did you notice he's also got tired out too. Okay, where's
Yeah. No, but he's angry in that look right there. My eyes are hooded and I'm glaring you down.
that? Yeah.
There were a couple of those.
What happened?
Doing $3 million, and I did wrong by them.
You hurt the people that you love. So
Okay. I'm sorry, you guys. I should have clipped this out before we started. This says day 22, and I'm not sure if we're watching because they have their little segue into the trial.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to.
And then I wonder if they clipped out like
They did.
there were like 2 days of juries or whatever, you know?
I know. I think they did.
these are all people, every single one of them, that you at least had a personal conversation with at some point during the course of your representation.
All my clients?
Representation.
Absolutely. I had multiple conversations with all of my clients.
And these were people, every single one of them, real people that you looked in the eye and convinced them that everything was right.
And 403.
This is a really interesting observation, Debbie. I'm glad you brought this up. Alex didn't wear a tie throughout the entire trial. Yeah. And
but did you see he's wearing an undershirt every single day?
Yeah.
Like what he was wearing after he got in the first interview? The white undershirt.
Well, I don't know if that was an undershirt or if that was a shirt.
No, I know. I'm teasing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I know.
I don't either.
But I don't know if he wears a tie generally. Like, is
Yeah, I
he
don't
always
either.
that relaxed? Like, as a lawyer in court? Maybe. It also looked like his suit didn't fit him very well. Jacket?
I saw he's borrowing Buster's suits.
Oh my God. Oh, was he? Well then.
No.
Okay, so yeah, to make him more relatable, Bitcoin says, I don't think he had enough time to do it on his own. I don't see how. I don't see it. I don't see that either, Bitcoin. Dispose all the evidence, clean up, get to mom's. He didn't stop. He didn't stop anywhere. I mean, I just can't.
He had, okay, if you go based off of the cell phone data, which I understand that that's like not proof of time of death, but if you go off of that, he has 16 minutes to shoot them both, to change his clothes, to pack up his stuff, to drop it off at mom and dad's, which he's going there anyway. And he's there for 20 minutes. And he has that 1 minute of supposedly fumbling for his phone at mom and dad's driveway when he could have been dumping something. And nobody searched Almeida for 3 months.
Right. So you can't, that's the problem. So since they didn't investigate, they don't have any evidence. What business do they have arresting him? There's no, that's a great theory, but.
Right. But so that's my theory, though, is to say that he didn't have enough time. I think he had plenty of time. And it's also been not widely, but they were saying yesterday about how he has clothes everywhere. Clothes in the back of his vehicle, clothes at this house, clothes at this house, clothes at work, blah, blah, blah. Like he has clothes everywhere. So that makes me wonder, like, if there's clothes in the back of his Suburban and he changed. Like, so he didn't have to go back to the house to change.
But then there would be like blood and goop everywhere. Like, do you realize how hard it is to hide all of that evidence? I mean,
I think it's buried with his dad.
His car. What?
I think it's buried with his dad.
Oh, well, Where's the evidence though? We can, I mean, that's
That's
why
the rumors. That's the low country
I'm
rumors.
throwing out all of these different ideas
I know.
because they're just as preposterous as what the defense has put out there. There just
Sure.
isn't enough there. I'm not saying he didn't do it. I just don't see how he could have done it. And look at him. This is not an athletic guy. And it was hot out, and I don't know how he would have pulled it off. This is not an easy feat. You're acting
Sure.
like that would be so easy to do. I mean, that would
I don't know anymore.
I mean, even the way, again, I've always said, I just don't understand how there's not two shoot. Like, why would there be two different guns used?
They always carried two guns in their vehicles. He said that. One was for shooting hogs and one was for shooting birds. They always had two guns in their vehicles.
Oh, and Bitcoin says two guns too. That's different than using two guns.
I mean,
in a situation like that. Why? And Maggie was running away, he's gonna just stop and change guns then too, and he's on the ground theoretically.
well, the gun that he shot Paul with only had 2 shells in it, so he couldn't quickly reload it and go after Maggie. He had to grab the other gun.
But yeah, I don't know. Again, a lot of
either Don, I don't either.
It's all okay. So Bitcoin says
You're right.
Even a whole hour isn't enough time to clean all that up, let alone 16 minutes. That's yeah. I think there's more to this.
Okay, but how can you reconcile the fact that he said multiple times he moved the bodies and not a drop of blood is on him? He had to have cleaned himself since there's not a single drop of blood on him from moving the bodies. And you can't tell me in that crime scene he didn't get blood on him because Mark Ball got blood on him from just being at the crime scene.
That's the point. How did he clean all that up? No, I don't.
So he had to have cleaned himself at some point.
You think he cleaned himself while they were coming to? You think he was all bloody like that when he went to his mom's and then came back in his car with all that shit all over him?
No, he had to have cleaned himself before he left, but that's what he had to have cleaned himself at some point. When he did it, it had to have been like, it would be in the truck if he would have done it then. But that's what I'm saying. Like,
after his mom's. I mean, as far as touching the body, I don't see how he could have taken their pulse. I just think he was saying that because that's what he was supposed to say. You know.
So you think he's lying about that?
He very, very well could be, but that doesn't mean he killed him.
No, but I'm saying, like, yeah. Anyway.
I don't like that he doesn't remember if he took a nap. Yeah, he did. He lied about a lot of time there.
Yeah, he didn't take a nap. He definitely lied about taking a nap.
Yeah, well, he admitted that he did.
Yeah, but yeah.
We all knew that.
He says he went.
We saw the video. So that wasn't like surprise. Everybody knew that. Okay, to make it look like 2 people did it. Well, obviously, that's
why he could have used 2 separate guns.
Well, of course, but
I don't know that he was in the right
he was
state.
so overweight at the time. I mean, come on. I don't see that kind of athleticism, especially killing your own wife and son. There had to be some kind of like this is not a robot. I mean, this is a human who loves his family. So that's a lot. That's an awful lot to ask the jury to believe. I just wish they would have come up with more evidence. Is all I'm saying. Too deep, off topic, but I did hear correctly that the defense have 4 more witnesses left to call. Who would they be? Well, they have 2 at least. Right?
Yeah, at least 2 are like expert witnesses.
2 more expert witnesses,
I think. And then it wouldn't surprise me if they called 2 family members, probably Maggie's parents.
Oh, Lynn,
because
Sister Lynn.
No, she's not testifying anymore.
She's not going to testify? Okay.
No. But I heard
witness list. Yeah.
I would not be surprised if they call one of Maggie's parents.
Ooh, I don't know if he would do that to them. I can't see that. Bitcoin, the only thing I can see is he hired someone to do. That's what I've thought all along. It's like he had to, I believe he's he's involved, he's responsible. And I viscerally felt that he was there, like he saw it.
Yeah.
That's why he's so did he want to take out Maggie or Paul? And then one of them just was collateral damage?
Nope, because he asked both of them to be there that night.
No, he didn't. Marianne, her sister, said she talked her into going that night. He didn't even know she was coming.
No, it was a text from him that said, I want you to come home.
Okay, Debbie, Bitcoin.
Sorry.
And something Buster, yes. And
No, Buster was too far away. There was no way.
Hi, Charles McCall. Hi,
Yeah.
I'm glad you love the topic. Is there anyone left that could be a witness that you all hope takes the stand? Well, I just feel like Marianne, and this is really interesting too, that Maggie was all up in Paul's social media about the boat crash. And she was convinced that Paul wasn't responsible. Now, talk about having blinders on. And that's where Alex was saying, I'm going to clear Paul's name. They're saying he didn't even drive the boat. This family, I mean, they're so insulated. And then what I thought was interesting, I don't know if anyone else caught this, but when Marianne was testifying about her sister Maggie, she said Maggie didn't want to go to Moselle. That Maggie was like, oh, I don't want to go. I've got this work done at the beach house. And then it was Marianne who said, I convinced her to go. He's your husband. He needs you. You don't remember that? Yeah.
That might have been, I might not have heard all of
And
it
she
because
probably feels guilty about it too, because
sure.
that,
That might have been when I was on vacation.
That probably was. And that was really interesting to me. Like because that said a lot about the relationship too. Like if your husband needed you, you'd go there. You wouldn't need somebody to talk you into it if you loved your husband. So I think they had developed a, separate lives kind of thing. They were
very much so.
They were still having fun together and family stuff, and they were really into the family. But for sure that there was definitely a divide. But a lot of people have testified so far, have said it really was the boat crash that created a lot of the divide in the family. That's what made Maggie not want to go to Moselle anymore, not be in Hampton. And so because of that, I'm just not sure that he would want her dead unless he wanted the property because it was in her name. But then why would Paul be dead? I mean, I don't know. Okay. Lady Cymbeline, what about Maggie wanting to separate finances and thinking about divorce? There's no one has been called to testify saying that she wanted to divorce. There's a lot of false information out there too. And so people come in. So people are coming in with confirmation bias, and they're coming in with their minds made up, which I was guilty of. I mean, I just assumed when it happened, he did it.
Sure.
But the more and more closer it got to the trial and the trial itself, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I'm just saying it doesn't make sense. Okay, let's get through some of these comments. Lady, no evidence she hired a private investigator. If that were true, Debbie, don't you think the prosecutor would have somebody?
They'd be all over that.
Yeah, not true.
Yeah.
Not
Sorry,
even,
I gotta let my puppy in.
if it is true, it's not been brought up as evidence. And the prosecution has rested, so they don't have anything like that. Alex was backed into a corner. Wife and son lost respect. He was lost in addiction and debt, wanted it all to go away. It's possible. Sure.
Yeah.
I think he would have had to have help, though. I just can't see how he got it done. He cleaned up and all that. Yes, and they didn't charge him with conspiracy. So if it's a hung jury, from my understanding, I could be wrong. Please don't quote me on anything. But if it's a hung jury, I do believe if they can find evidence of a conspiracy that he did hire somebody, they could then, that wouldn't be double jeopardy because he wasn't charged with conspiracy. That's what I heard. Yeah.
Got it.
I understand, lady. Got it. Okay, Bitcoin. Also, the boat crash and the financial crimes that made him a lot of Exactly. That's what I've been seeing. So many enemies that could have done it. I could even see, have you not seen like The Godfather and mafia movies where they make you watch the murders?
Nobody knew about the financial crimes. Nobody.
I don't know.
Not at that point. The only person that knew
hated.
about those financial crimes were Alex Murdaugh.
The people
And you
who
forget about the.
Are you kidding
No,
me?
they were not hated. They were revered because of their last name and the power they held on that community. It wasn't until after the murders that power.
Okay. I have personal.
Okay, actually, it was after the boat crash when some of that started coming out. But
I want to share something. I have personal experience that a lot of people don't have. When I was very young, a long time ago, when I was starting my first business, I wanted to talk to a lawyer about trademarking and all those kinds of things and brands and everything I needed to do to set up a business. And so I had some attorney friends back home set me up with the friend that they went to law school with in Madison in LA. And I went to this attorney, it was great, blah, 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 gave a retainer, whatever. And one day he calls me and he's like, Dawn, I'm really sorry. You're going to get a notification. Our firm, and this was a big law firm, like fancy LA, like schwanky, everything. And he's like, they basically took everybody's money, their retainers and everything.
Oh, Dawn.
Never get it back. I mean, I got like 2 cents back. I mean, it was ridiculous. And sure, I get sued but it's like, they hide the money. It's not a good feeling. Okay.
No.
The people that were wronged knew it. It may not have been public knowledge, but they had to have known it because they were waiting for their money.
No, they didn't. No, none of that came out until after until September is when they finally started contacting people. Right before the suicide is when the law firm finally really got figured out who it all was.
There had to have been people that he screwed over. It didn't just all of a sudden come out, all of it at once. They had to have known. And I think for as much as they were revered, there were people that hated them because even Paul had a reputation of being really obnoxious. I call him St. Paul now, St. Papa.
Yeah, right.
Oh, he's such a nice boy. Anyway. Okay.
You grew up in a small town in Wisconsin, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I grew up in a city between Chicago and Milwaukee. It's city life. It wasn't small town at all.
Well, I grew up in a small town and I remember the popular kids with that last name. You wanted to be their best friend because they're the popular kid and they're the kids that have the money and you want to hang out with them.
Good parties.
No matter what their personality is. The parties,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it crumbled.
I understand.
I think it had to have been crumbling over time. I mean, things don't happen that way. I'm just saying that. That's all I'm saying. I know what you're saying, that it was a lot of the fraud wasn't exposed.
Yeah.
But the law firm didn't know about it. But the people that were waiting for their money were clearly waiting for their money. Okay, where's the money? So I think there were probably people going, and then what are they going to do? It was just like me, this young girl. What am I going to do against this law firm? I have no power, right? So I'm just saying I could see how there are a lot of people who have grudges. Okay, comments.
Sorry.
No, don't apologize. Keep talking. If the PI exists, private investigator exists.
Yeah, I'd love to hear from him too. Maggie hiring a PI. Yeah.
It would have come out. It would have come out. Debbie said it's been a lot of time. They tried to blame Connor for driving. Yeah, that was terrible. In the boat crash and car accident, Paul was involved. Oops, where'd it go? Paul.
Yeah, there was a DUI accident in 2017 with Paul. It didn't. I don't believe anybody else was involved.
And by the way,
he called.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say he called Grandpa right away. And then the family came.
It was Grandma fixing all this stuff.
Okay.
It was Grandma. So that's kind of interesting too.
Yeah.
They would run.
So they called and then they took away all the beer cans and stuff before they called the cops. But yeah.
Of course.
I know.
Okay, where am I?
I know.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Or drug dealers. Yeah. I mean, I think the point is my imagination is like there's 100 different scenarios that could happen. It just doesn't look like what they're putting out there in this trial.
I think closing is going to be really interesting to see
Closing
if
is
Creighton
gonna be
can tie it all
everything. For
together.
that I will take notes. I swear I will take notes. I'm going to take closing, defense, and prosecution.
Yes.
And I probably won't do the rebuttal, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And Paul was facing jail time. That's right. That's a big deal. Kid going to jail at 19 years old or however young he was.
Yeah.
Evan Allen has a video that Alex was dealing oxy. I think so. Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. I wouldn't surprise me either. And a lot of people have talked about how there's an airstrip on his property and all that. So that would have been convenient.
Yeah. All 3 of his properties. I think he sold one of them, but okay. So it's interesting with the drug deals. Sorry. I go so off topic and I know we should be like, anyway, all 3 properties have easy access to either water or air, right?
Right. Correct.
The crazy thing about Murdaugh
a lot of
is
the properties in the South do, and there's been a lot of drug trafficking through that area. I'm just going to get through a couple more comments.
Yeah.
Hold your thought. Too Deep says, anyone consider that someone with the means to supply Alex $50,000 a week drug habit might have the means to commit this murder? It was so sloppy, though. That's the thing. That's the other side too. It's like it was so amateurish. Maybe Alex was receiving death threats. So this is why I came up with the idea that somebody came and said, "You are going to kill, to punish him," but instead of shooting, they want to keep him alive because he's their source.
He's got to pay him.
That's where I was saying about mobster movies. I've seen enough mobster movies where they make you shoot your family member, okay, and they stand there. Otherwise, you get shot. And that could explain why it was so sloppy, why he might have fallen down on the ground. I mean, can you imagine shooting I don't know. There's just, to me, the problem is if the prosecution doesn't do their job as a juror, I'm filling in all the blanks with my imagination.
Sure.
And I think I just answered that. Why not kill Alex? That would be
dumb.
Then
he can't pay him. Yep.
He's the one making it happen. Girlfriend was in the car. She's the one who called 911. And Too Deep says that's what they do. They come after your family. It's awful.
Yeah.
Eric Allen. Okay, that's some video. Too Deep. They would have killed him too. No. I don't think so.
You can't collect money from a dead guy.
Yeah, what would be the point of killing him? He's the one. He's the connection. Okay, Debbie asks, well, I didn't. Okay, so this is getting off into whether he's guilty or not. And so, let's I want to focus on this cross-examination. It's a kind of cool. Any more thoughts before we go? Bitcoin could have happened while Alex was at parents' house, right? Time of death is not totally established.
Yeah.
I mean, we know it's approximately, and even the gun, the identity of the gun, the one that has been blamed for, that's kind of crack science too. So it's just shoddy. I mean, people are saying this is solid evidence. Is not. And if I'm on the stand and I didn't do it, man, I would be really upset. And we should be careful about what we do when we prosecute somebody.
Yeah.
And put him
I think that's what this case comes down to.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm convinced of his guilt, but did the prosecution do their job? And like you're saying, I agree. I don't think they did. They definitely proven he's a liar, but does that make him a murderer? Like we've said. So
yeah, and the prosecution in the investigation, they work hand in hand. So when I say prosecution, I'm including the investigation, including the decision to assign it to SLED. That came from the prosecutor's office.
Who do you think should have taken it?
I'm not saying they shouldn't have. I'm just saying it's all tied into the prosecutor's office, right? Because at that time, regardless of who did it, they didn't know who did it. I mean, they may have had their suspicions that he was guilty because it's always the husband type of thing, but he was the one who found them and it's his property and all that. But okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, there wasn't any real evidence of him taking her phone and throwing it out. Very, very, like, if he did.
When was the phone actually
If he
thrown?
did, when
yeah.
was it thrown? Yeah, all that. There's
I
no
know.
solid evidence on the phone, unfortunately. I mean, that's the sad part.
Maggie's phone is weird.
Yeah. Why not do both phones then? Like, what's going on? Especially given what was on Paul's phone. That almost seemed personal.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was weird. That could have been because she might have been trying to take a picture, though. There seems to be some. Well, when they're talking about her movements, her last steps were recorded on the phone. The last steps that were recorded on the phone, let's say, it might not have been her, but then there was like this change in this access to the camera, and I'm like, was that her trying to take a picture, and that's why they grabbed the phone from her and then shot her in the head?
Sure.
Yeah. So, bye, Debbie. Thanks for being here. Okay, let's take a look at.
The cumulative. Spent 2 hours doing the chest.
I sound like Mickey Mouse here. I got it on 2.0 speed.
But simple questions that applies to everybody, and then I'm moving on.
Proceed.
I would have had conversations with all of my clients, and some of the conversations would have been on the telephone. I would have had conversations where I might not be looking them in the eye.
Oh, this is the whole looking him in the eye thing.
Yeah, that's still the financial crime stuff.
Oh, this is.
I would have had plenty of conversations where I did look them in the eye.
Every single one of them.
No, I think, Don, I think you're going way too far.
Sure.
I think this is the very beginning of the second day, but he's trying to wrap up the financial crime stuff.
Right.
Every single one of them.
We had a long talk. As I said, I don't remember exactly when it was before that. Paul and I had a long talk. And
let's see what the question was.
I think it was about him going to rehab.
Remember calling Paul a little detective?
I don't know that I ever called him a little detective, but I think Maggie did. I may have. I mean, Paul was very intuitive. So I heard Miriam. I heard
your interviews.
I heard Miriam call him a little detective. I know Maggie used to call him that.
Did that have anything to do with the pills?
Well, yeah, it had something to do with it. But I mean, Paul was always that way. But
so again, I think he's answering his questions. Like he's saying,
Yep.
There are so many. Here's the other thing. There are so many opportunities for him to have embellished and caused doubt, casted doubt. For example, when Waters asked him whether the dogs seemed like they were on high alert, he could have said, yeah, they were a little weird. You know, I thought about that later. They were a little agitated. Yeah, but he didn't. There were many times that he could have fallen into the trap of embellishing and casting doubt, and he didn't.
Yes.
I was surprised.
What led him to be called a little detective? Certainly, there were times when Paul found pills,
Including just a month before the murders. Is that correct?
No, sir.
You recall 6'5"?
Katie, remind me of the name of the prosecutor in the red tie behind Waters here, sitting down.
Oh boy. Medders.
Do
not like.
I don't think he's helped either.
No.
With me being like, what's up with these people? Like, this is
I know.
He's freaking me out, like, big time.
I would be like, dude, don't touch me. Like, stop touching
me. Give me my space.
23 that was entered into evidence, which is a text from Paul to you.
I did.
Which he said that Maggie found pills in your bag.
Right.
Tell me about what happened after that.
You asked me about Paul finding them, but it was Maggie that found them.
Fair enough. So it was Maggie that found them?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But Paul's the one who reached out to you, correct?
On that occasion, yes, sir.
And what was the discussion after that?
I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was about that I'd had eye surgery I don't know what day it was, but days before that, the day Maggie found them, Maggie drove me to the doctor for me to have my cataract removed, whatever.
Southern people definitely speak more slowly.
I know 1.5 is like the way to go with this
Whatever
because
they
it's
call
so.
it surgery, I can't remember, but I had a
Ugh.
cataract taken out, outpatient. You go in for a couple hours and you come out. And it was during COVID.
Because
and
that's
so
normal
Maggie
speed
wasn't allowed to come
to
into the doctor's office. And so she
It was
sat in the
like
car.
me.
And I had left pills in the computer bag and sitting out there bored. I guess she started looking at my computer and found them in the computer bag. So she.
Okay. I want to grab some comments real quick. Bitcoin says, yeah, based on the data, Maggie's phone was not in the Alex car with him. And that's what the prosecution set up. And then they took it down. It wasn't actually provable. So I don't like that. It makes me not trust the prosecution. No offense to anyone. Help me understand how people think he was 100% guilty before the trial. And now that the trial is happening and there is no evidence he did this, he'll still be 100% guilty. Well, I can't answer that one. Katie. No, and Tootie
It's
does
me.
not.
I'm that person.
No,
zero
there's a
offense
lot of
taken.
people that are. In fact, you can't even make comments on any of the live chats because you get torn down. Like you get attacked. So that's why I didn't respond in the Twitter. I was like, I'm not going there. Like Twitter, no way, no way. I like the conversation, but I have my. Plus, I was busy, but I really want to understand. So tell him what you feel.
Well, because my bias is already going in, I'm picking up on these little details that I think are solid evidence.
What?
Such as the timeline. Like the timeline is so tight. But I mean, you have a different perspective on it because you don't have that confirmation. Like you don't have that bias. So for me, it's a confirmation bias because I'm like, of course he did it. Well, the timeline shows it because the time of death was at 8:50 and he had 60 minutes to clean up. And you can clearly see that he's had to clean himself up because there's zero blood on him, which would be absolutely impossible if he was at the crime scene like he said he was.
Wait a minute. He didn't have to clean himself up if he didn't do it.
No, I'm saying after.
Period.
At that 10 o'clock interview.
If he didn't turn Paul over or touch them?
Either of them.
But that doesn't...
He had 17 seconds to call 911. There's no way he would have known. And see, like, the other thing is, why lie about being at the kennels if you didn't know the time of death? So, like, I don't know. There's so many little things. And I'm like,
what happened?
And I think the biggest thing to me,
blamed.
What's that?
He knew what happened. He didn't lie about being at the kennel. I mean, he knew what happened. So he knew if he didn't do it, okay, if he did not do it, just if you can put your head in that space.
I know.
You have to do that as a juror. You have to presume innocence. So he didn't do it. Think about if it's you and you're gone for an hour and you came back and your family is slaughtered. And you just happen to be holding a knife because you were just like, I don't know, whatever you do with a knife, and cutting some bread or whatever. And you're like, oh my God, they're going to think I did it. I'm the only one not dead here. Okay. And so you might fudge on some of the stuff. And you're already in deep crap from doing all these other crimes. And he knows that. So this is the thing too, that's true, that repeat criminals will lie more than because they've been through the system and they know how to twist it. So they're trying to get their best advantage. I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying it's not fair to not think about that. And so what you're trying to do, it seems like, is disprove rather than just proving that he was just coming in that he's innocent. And how would this look if he was innocent?
Right.
the fact that he came in, called 911 and said he touched them and he doesn't have blood on him makes him a murderer. That's crazy. That's really condemning.
I know. He was at the kennels within, what was it, 4 minutes of the, I know you're saying that they didn't prove time of death, but that's my problem. I could never be a juror on this case. Never, ever, ever, ever. Because I have such a strong bias and such a strong confirmation bias that
what I would really love is, and I'm going to do this for the closing arguments, because that's usually where it is, but I would like a list of what you think is solid evidence that he did this for guilty.
Yeah.
I would like to see a list. Because I mean, I'd love to see it as a list. I don't think the prosecutors confused the heck out of me as a juror.
Yeah.
So Charles McFall says, hey, he finds it interesting how his family have remained united and believing his innocence. He didn't develop a narcissistic personality overnight.
Yeah. Well, they also think Paul's innocent, so.
Bitcoin says, I think we are so used to watching these cases, the majority are always guilty. The first case in a while where it's not definitive. That's very true. That's very true. And I don't think people are thinking about it, personalizing it and coming at it as they're innocent until proven guilty, as opposed to guilty until proven. He doesn't have to prove his innocence.
Right. So I think you need to find me a case that I'm not so biased about, and then we'll chat.
Well, no, we're learning from you. I mean, I want to know what the list of evidence is, because I wasn't taking notes, and I'm, all I'm seeing is this prosecutor is disappointing me. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
Big time. And the investigators, and the potential of people that had it out for him, and the potential of number of things that could have happened that really happened is just phenomenally large in this case. In this case, he's just got dirty hands. He's got his hands in everything. So,
yeah.
Lady Cymbeline, I don't understand how the time of death could not be determined, as police were called within 2 hours. Actually, yeah. I thought with the autopsy you could get quite precise. Am I being harsh? No, you're not being harsh.
I don't know if they can get it to the minute. I don't know, but
that the thing is,
I don't think they ever can get it.
When you start thinking about it in terms of him possibly being innocent, I cannot help but think this kind of looks like somebody being framed. Like, were they afraid he wasn't going to get caught for his financials? So they did this. I don't know. Like, Creighton really hates him. So many people hate him. Like, he has visceral hate for him. Okay. So I'm really suspicious about the whole thing. It just doesn't seem like there's enough there.
Yeah.
Too deep. Thank you for answering. I really appreciate. I now better understand.
Yeah.
It's all good. Oh, Debbie's back. You didn't go to bed. Trying to fall asleep. Too much coffee. I saw Megan's and Mark Garagos go through my feed, but I don't have time. Yeah, I can't tolerate Nancy Grace. No thanks. Sorry. I just can't with her.
She was in the courtroom.
Was she?
Like week 2.
Oh, okay, Debbie. Well, you'll have to go to the Antero Nuggets and just play Jeffrey LaCasse. Okay, let's see what else we got here. I want to get to
Found
more
on those bills.
And when
Hold on, my dog is.
And so she obviously told Paul, and Paul texted you, correct? About finding those pills.
That's correct.
In May of 2021.
That's correct.
And you've heard your sister-in-law Marion testify that Maggie called him the little detective about the pills. You heard that testimony in this courtroom?
I did hear that.
All right. So did they start to watch you like a hawk and get on you about your pill usage during the month of May?
No.
They did not.
No, Mr. Waters, this battle that I had with addiction, it had been going on for years.
Okay, Katie, this is where I'm like, what is he now trying to do? Say that there's a different motive other than the one that all this financials were allowed in the trial because he's proving motive, and now he's jumping to another potential motive? No.
Sorry. Pew! Squirrel.
No, it's okay. So this is what I was
I have
talking
a puppy, and she never, ever, ever barks. Ever.
barking now.
Yes.
She wants you on her lap. Can you put her on your
No.
lap?
No, there's something outside that she's barking at.
Uh-oh. Are your doors
And
locked?
yeah, it's a dog down the road that she can hear, and so she's anyway. Yeah,
Okay,
she should be in her kennel. But anyway.
Why is this infuriating to me as a juror sitting there? Now he's bringing in another potential motive
of the drugs, you mean?
He's talking. Did Paul and Maggie confront you about drugs?
But isn't that another aspect of his life crumbling in on him? And that's the whole thing that they're saying, is that every single aspect of his life was crumbling in on him.
All right,
he could not
let's listen
take
a
the
little
pressure.
farther.
He needed to do something to get that pressure off.
Okay, but was it that, or was it all the financial stuff that we spent 3 extra weeks listening to?
Well, I think it was everything.
All right, well, let's see. Let's see where he goes with this questioning.
Years. And so they had been watching me like a hawk for years before May. May was just one occurrence where I let them down again.
So what's that lip ripping about?
He's going to cry here. He's saying it was in May that he let them down again, and he's starting to cry.
Okay.
It is not easy to do a mea culpa like this in public.
No.
I mean, yeah.
Right.
About my pill addiction, yes, sir. That is correct.
And with all this harping on him like this over and over again, and him maintaining that polite and contrite attitude, I think Creighton could lose some jurors with this potentially. Maybe not, but it's risky.
And I look at it like you're falling for his BS, Dawn.
He's a human.
I'm teasing.
I don't hate, no,
I
I'm
know.
just saying,
No.
but I think a lot of people feel that way. I'm not that hard where I'm just like, people are unredeemable, and I really don't have any doubt in my mind that he knows he majorly screwed up.
Yeah.
And he knows this is his fault, whether he did it or not. It's his fault.
Yes.
I mean, it has to be. And he even says later, I didn't discipline Paul enough.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, Paul was so nice. And he's like, no, I didn't discipline him enough. So I don't know. He scored.
This time in May, that wasn't the only time that Paul found pills or Maggie found pills. Is that correct?
No, there were a number of times where.
See, he's saying Paul and Maggie. That goes to introducing a different motive. He's being very specific.
Mags found pills. Paul found pills. Bus found pills.
Buster.
I mean, it was an ongoing.
Okay, so pause it right there.
It was just an ongoing battle for me.
What you got?
Sorry, he says Buster found the pills, but when Buster was on the stand, he said he knew very little about the drug addiction.
Well, you could know very little and still find pills.
Sure.
Buster seems quite detached.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Yeah.
And after they found those pills in May, that being Maggie and
That's
Paul,
not about you.
were they trying to get you to self-detox?
No, sir, not at that point in time.
They just let it go?
No, they didn't let it go. But at that point in time, Paul and I had already had a discussion based on, I can't remember exactly when it was, but there had been a previous occasion a good while back where
He's gonna cry again. That's when
been a previous occasion.
That's when his mouth gets all weird. We don't know what medications he's on either. But yeah, the constant chewing and stuff is weird.
Where either Maggie or Paul had found pills, and Paul had come to me and asked me, and I told him, I was back on the pills.
This chat is just merciless. They're like,
our chat?
No, the chat in the video over there. They're just so nasty. How's our chat doing? Okay.
We had a long talk. As I said, I don't remember exactly when it was before that. Paul and I had a long talk, and I'd agreed, and I detoxed so many times. I've been to detox. I detoxed at home with Maggie's help. I detoxed at home with the doctor's help. detoxed on my own, tried to, and it just detoxing just didn't work. You couldn't.
No, he
You
needs
could
to go to
detox.
AA.
But you couldn't. No,
probably
not
is.
you. I couldn't stay off of them.
They probably have things like, I don't know what they have in prison. He's not going to get any alcohol and pills in prison. He could.
Contraband, but-
Okay, so Bitcoin says Netflix show made it look like Maggie barely raised Paul and just enabled his behavior. I think she was.
Yep.
Yeah, a little bit of that going on. Probably with Alec too. You know, usually when there's an addict, there's a person that
An enabler.
who's enabling. Yeah.
Yeah.
She didn't divorce him. All that talk,
Nope.
there's no indication she was living the life. Lady, sometimes sick people have it in their mind. It's a mercy kill, better way. Alex could have convinced himself that they'd be better off gone. Yep. He could have also wanted to kill himself and couldn't pull it off. And then he tried later and couldn't pull it off.
Yeah.
Cousin Eddie said that he didn't shoot him, that Alec was going to shoot himself. And he, right. Yeah. I heard him say that with his own words, in his own, like he said that on an interview. So, yeah. Okay. Debbie, do you ever play Wordle? Okay, let's keep going. I like Wordle. Do you do Wordle?
Every day.
Every day.
Yep.
I never not.
And so
I'm like a 99.
I promised Paul
winner on that. So I like it.
that as soon as we finished with his criminal case, that I would go to rehab. And and on this particular occasion, Paul knew that his mom worried about me so much with pills that on this particular occasion, I think that Paw convinced Maggie that I got those pills in anticipation of the eye surgery, but that I never took them, so that she would not worry that I was, once again.
So you're talking about, now you're claiming that about the time in May that Paul talked to Maggie.
Okay,
and
pause.
that, or are you talking about a different time?
I'm not.
What?
I do think he's being completely honest here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's honest a lot,
I do.
quite frankly.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing about Paw using that name, like he wasn't on the stand. So how would he have used, like, how would he have, and it may be comforting to him to use Paw, his nickname. So I don't, there's nothing there on that one. Okay, let's see.
But I am curious about how he is so much more interested in clearing Paul's name in that criminal case than he ever was about finding the real killer of Paul and Maggie. That's interesting to me. Probably because he knows who it is, but
Who it is?
who the real killer was. But,
If it's not him, I think he knows.
oh,
Okay, so I was thinking, well, okay, so if it was somebody from the boat crash that came in and did this, whether he saw it or not, but maybe he knows that somehow or another. If he thinks that would maybe explain the obsession with clearing his name at this point.
okay.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't think there's a name to clear, though.
I don't either. I don't either. And that just shows more of the family dysfunction, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's get toward the end because this is where everybody gets tired. And it's a very different situation.
Friend Bear Bullware when you took his money.
No, sir.
No.
I didn't lie. Like I told you, I didn't lie directly to him. I lied to him by omission. Like,
So now we're back to, did you lie to their face or not? He probably did. I mean, he said he lied to some people's face, but in some cases he didn't have to. And if you didn't have to, you probably would avoid that, right?
Right.
You would do everything to, like, have your assistant tell him something or whatever.
like we talked about him. I didn't talk to him. I didn't see him at that time.
Did you lie to your law partners?
I did.
Did you lie to him about the kennels?
Some of them.
Did you lie to Mark Ball?
Yeah, I believe, based on what Mark said, I believe I did.
Did you lie to Ronnie Crosby?
According to what he said, I believe I did.
Did you lie to Johnny Parker?
I don't believe I ever discussed that with Johnny.
Did you lie to him about the finances when you borrowed that money in July of 2021?
I don't know if I lied to him about,
Pause.
Okay.
I don't think Johnny,
Yes.
Do you think we'll hear from Johnny Parker?
I don't think if he wasn't on the witness list, the prosecution can't bring him in. The only way that would be
Oh, I didn't know if he was on the prosecution list.
if we haven't heard from him, the prosecution has rested.
No, for
So
the defense.
Unless the defense brought him in too. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they want to argue about this. Is honestly feels really petty. It's just like, come on, we know he's lied. And he's even said I lied. Like,
Yeah.
You don't need 7 hours of this.
asked me, I don't think I had to lie to Johnny about that, so I don't know.
Did you lie? Well, you certainly didn't disclose to him the truth when you borrowed that $250,000, did you?
I did not tell him what I was going to use it for.
I mean, didn't we say before that not telling the whole truth is the same as telling a lie?
Sure it is.
You don't think that's a lie, though?
I'm just saying, Mr. Waters, I'm not taking issue with that, but I don't even know that Johnny and I mean, Johnny loaned me money numerous times. It wasn't any long sit-down discussion where Johnny wanted to know exactly what I was doing with it. That conversation would have been, I needed it. Johnny was always willing to help me, and that would have been the conversation. So on that specific event, did I lie to him? I don't know.
Yeah, he ended up being out $477,000, didn't he?
He ended up being out a lot of money.
Because at a certain point, it doesn't have as much meaning anymore. The amount of,
And thank you for your qualifications as to that. Did you lie to Lee Cope?
I don't know. I don't know if Lee Cope was around when I said that or not.
Did you lie to Danny Henderson?
I did lie to Danny.
Did you lie to Jeannie Seconder?
About finances? Yes, I did.
You didn't ever talk to her about the kennels?
No, I wouldn't think so.
Did you lie to Annette Griswold?
I did.
Did you lie to Christy Gerald, your other secretary, paralegal?
I don't believe she and I discussed. I would have at some point, I'm sure.
Did you lie to Michael Gunn?
I'm sure I did at some point, but I mean, Michael wasn't involved in any of this, so I don't know that any of this ever came up with Michael.
Did you lie to your clients? Did you lie to Pamela Pinckney?
I did.
Natasha Thomas?
I don't know that I dealt with Natasha, but I certainly lied about that.
King Pinckney?
Again, I don't know that I talked to Hakeem, but I certainly lied about that.
Arthur Badger?
I did.
The Plyler girl?
I'm not sure that I talked specifically to them, but I lied about that.
Dion Martin?
I lied to Dion.
Johnny Bush?
Yes.
Manuel Cristiani?
So I want to know what people think is so bad about his testimony. I don't see it.
Okay.
I mean, is he saying, no, I didn't lie? No, I didn't. And getting all, he's just, right? I don't see it.
Yeah.
It's really sad, honestly.
I think it's
I
just
didn't have
because
any
it makes him look so bad. But that's not the point of the justice system. I mean, I've lied a lot in my life. So if you want to put me up on that stand, I will tell you I lied a lot in my life. But that sure as heck doesn't make me a murderer.
Right.
Conversations with him, but I certainly lied about it.
Jamie and Richard?
Yes.
Randy Drawdy?
Yes.
Jordan Jinks?
Yes.
Mary Duncan?
Yes.
Adriana Hay?
Yes.
Angel Gary?
Yes.
Christopher Anderson?
Yes.
Elise Mallory?
Yes.
Thomas Moore?
He's looking at his defense team like, what are we doing now? Still a break. Okay.
Maggie and Blanca, do you recall that?
Oh, this is the cross. Okay, so the rebuttal. Okay, let's.
Everyone about the side of the road, the people that came to stop the help and the ambulance folks and the 911 and Ryan Kelly and the composite sketch artist and all of them, correct?
I lied to a lot of people about that.
You know why people lie, Mr. Murdaugh? Because they know they've done something wrong.
For the most time I do.
And you've been able to lie quickly and easily and convincingly if you think it'll save your skin for well over a decade. Isn't that true?
I have lied well over a decade.
And you want this jury to believe a story manufactured to fit the evidence that you brought forth just yesterday after hearing this trial's worth of testimony?
No, sir, that's not correct.
Mr. Murdaugh, we went through this for a while, but you remember at the beginning of your testimony, I asked you whether or not you agreed that trying to explain your presence on the kennel video was the most important part of your testimony before this jury. You remember that? And you said, oh, not the most important. I said, was it at least important? You recall that from yesterday?
So I thought it was really awkward and not smooth at all, the way he went from, he's back on all the financial stuff, and now he's talking about, he's trying to bring it to focus about lying about the kennel. And I just think he blew this. This is his ending. And I don't know. Did you think this was a strong ending?
Oh, I thought it was great.
Did you? Okay. Well,
Because,
okay.
well, I loved, well, one, it's proving that you're a liar, and you've lied and lied and lied and lied your entire life, and now you want me to believe you. And I think that's a fair question. Like, how do you know? Are you telling the truth now or then or what? So I get that. And then I also really appreciated, when we get to it, that he brought up, like, you know, you were you lied because you were paranoid about SLED, and because you, like, all these different things. But the very first person on the scene was somebody that you knew from the solicitor's office, and yet you still chose to lie to them. So I thought it was good.
Do you think that people who habitually lie, maybe con artists and stuff, never ever tell the truth? Or is everything a lie?
No, but how are you supposed to know what's real and what's not in that type of situation?
But you know that it would be actually impossible for somebody to 100% be lying, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
But what part of this am I supposed to believe? What am I supposed to?
I'm not
like,
going to tell you
what
that.
part?
That's totally your call. I'm just asking
Right.
you, because what concerns me is, back in the day, they have these things called witch trials.
Yeah.
And it looked a lot like this kind of stuff.
Sure.
And no one is without sin or blemish, or,
No.
you know, you've
No.
lied. You know, everybody lies.
Except for white men.
So, what?
That was a joke. I said, except for white men.
Right.
That was
So
a joke.
I'm just very concerned about the justice system and taking somebody down for something that they didn't do. And maybe I just watched too much of the Innocence Project, but
No,
it's
because, like we've said, and like I've said with this too, just because you're a liar, does that make you a murderer? And it doesn't. It absolutely does not, because, yeah, but I just.
right. So in other words, he could have lied about some of the things around it, but he's not lying. I'm just saying anybody could have lied about
Right.
some things, but that is the problem with lying. That is
Yeah.
the problem with lying, especially
Yeah.
lying to a police officer or whatever, or a
Yeah.
prosecutor. That's, yeah. Too Deep says,
Anyway.
to be fair, could you imagine people telling you that you didn't do enough to find out who killed your family? That'd be really hard to take, wouldn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
there is no correct recipe for that kind of thing. But he also says, I don't believe anything Alex says, nothing. He's a liar. So do you believe him when he's saying, yes, I did that? Like, that's the thing. He's saying a lot of things that you're agreeing with here. I did those things. Right?
Right.
So no one can say, I don't believe anything he says, right? So
Right.
that's why I think his performance was pretty good on the stand. That's all I'm saying. He was contrite. Okay. He wasn't combative. I would have been so combative. I would have been like, are you getting off on this? Like, what's your problem, man? I would have been just, what is your problem? Do you have short man complex?
Yeah, I recall you asking those questions, yes, sir.
And you agree it's important, don't you?
I agree that is an important component. I think there's a lot of important components.
And you testified yesterday, and during cross yesterday and cross today, kind of evolved on the factors that led you to decide to lie at some point during that interview with David Owen, correct?
I disagree with that. No, I don't think those factors have evolved. I mean, you've asked some more specific questions, but those factors are still the same factors. You may have asked questions and gained a little more detail, but those factors haven't changed.
But it was
Did you
the
see
deputy,
Griffin?
it was the fact that the deputy took your GSR.
Oops. Oh shit. What?
Did you see Griffin nodding his head yes right there?
Oh no, and I just lost the whole thing because I.
From the jury immediately. I know they're getting down to maybe.
Oh God, where am I? I was trying to just get to the end of his. I hit the wrong button.
Undeniable information, correct?
No, sir, that's not correct at all. What I was told is that, and I believe this came from Randy, what I was told is that SLED had come up with some information that seemed like it was consistent with my story, and they needed me to verify some things, is what they told me. And, you know, I knew that resources had already been wasted. I didn't want them wasting any more resources.
Oh, I don't think
And
that.
I told them the truth, but there wasn't any. Nobody.
Say what?
I don't
That
think
he
that.
didn't-
I was reading the comment. I don't think that even a little. Too Deep is
What?
just fine. Too Deep's comment
What?
that he's trying to
Which
attack
this
me.
one?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't think he's trying to attack you? Okay, I thought you were talking about Alex.
Not even
Like,
a
what?
little.
Okay,
No. The comment. Sorry. No.
good.
I don't take offense easily.
I'm a little troublemaker, so I'm used to getting attacked by people, so I don't care. I mean, I'm not a troublemaker. I just try to think outside the box, and a lot of people just don't want to. They're just not rolling with it. And then I get
Listen,
it.
if I
It's
was
like,
in the jury with you, you would have me voting not guilty.
I wouldn't. That's the problem. Is like I don't try to. The difference is I don't try to convince anyone. It's like I'm just good with whatever I believe on my own, and I'm not.
Yeah.
Like if I were appointed to be the jury foreman or whatever it's called,
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh please God, no. No, don't make me don't. We're never gonna leave. Like I would be so bad.
Nobody presented me with any evidence.
And you just testified that you told Jim Griffin first, correct?
I believe that I told Jim Griffin first.
But at that time, you didn't say anything about those kennels, did you?
To Jim Griffin at that time? No, sir, I didn't.
When you testified on direct yesterday, and you were asked about leaving the kennels with your new story, in light of the evidence that's been presented in this trial, your words were, I got out of there, correct?
I believe that's what I said. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that bothered me.
The
when he
new
said,
story.
I got out of there. What?
Oh, I
When he
thought you were
said,
saying
got
about
out-
the news story.
Oh no, no. Well, of course that's what we're talking about. You lie to the police
I know.
about small things, which everybody does, but it can come back to haunt you. It can come back to haunt you. But no, it bothered me when he used the phrase instead of, and then I just went to get back in the air conditioning, which he did say later. He's just like, I just got out of there, which was like, did he know something was going to happen then? Was that that was weird. It could have been, that's why he had him on the stand for 8 hours for slip ups like that. But there wasn't much.
Oh, sorry. Another
I
slip up
noticed
another potential slip up that I thought was interesting was he's like, what were you doing between 9:02 and 9:06 with all those steps? Like, I don't know. I don't know what I was doing. I don't know what I was doing, so on and so forth. But then he said, what I do know is I wasn't washing any guns. Not once has anybody ever said he was washing a gun. So that was like, what now?
Well, yeah, I caught that too, but that one doesn't bother me as much as I got out of there.
Okay.
Because naturally he knows what the implications are. He's implying that that's what he was doing. So, but it was a mistake. He shouldn't have said that. I agree. But the one that really bothered me is I got out of there.
Yeah.
That was like, But I wouldn't be able, that's just not enough. He didn't make that many slip ups. He really did. He's smart. He's really smart. He's smooth. He is smooth.
You also said during your testimony on cross-examination that you hurt the ones you love the most, didn't you?
I did say that.
Thank you. Nothing further.
And
Thank you. Nothing further.
Yeah.
He said he hurt the ones he loves the most, and that was
Yeah, but he was
also a
talking
little
about
bit like. Mhm.
that was kind of like, I didn't like that from Creighton. That was kind of sleazy. Because that was taken out of context, and that's not.
And that is how he ended it. I did not like this ending.
No, me neither.
in saying that, Mr. Waters, I just want to explain.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, I don't need to hear your explanation. That was just nasty. That was.
That answer.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
he just asked me a question about what I said, and I was going to explain why I said it.
All right.
As I told you earlier, you're implying to this jury and to me that was me talking about hurting Maggie and Paul. And that's not what that was. What that was is me saying, I know I hurt my brother, my partners, my clients, many of whom I told you I loved, all of whom I cared for.
And that's how I took it. That's how I took it. But when he said it, I was like, oh, I could see that could backfire. But
Yeah.
Here's the thing,
Well-
lawyer on lawyer. He just stepped all over Creighton's ending. He just
Yeah, he
stole it
did.
right from him. He wanted to end
Yes.
like, this dude is a better lawyer than Creighton.
And that's what that was when I'm talking about how my misdeeds, how I hurt the people worst were the ones I loved the most.
I just asked you what you said, correct, Mr. Murdaugh?
You did ask me what I said, but in asking me that, you're putting an implication on there that I am explaining.
I just asked you what you said.
Okay, yes, sir.
Thank you. Nothing further.
So he handled that like, I don't know how I'd be so nasty. Even if I was guilty, I think I would have been nasty.
Yeah.
Okay, so
All right.
the lady says, oh, you're a historian academic. Didn't get far in my math classes in high school. Oh, cool. So I'm going to wrap it up soon. Head out soon. Closing tabs on my screen. You're very welcome. And we're wrapping up soon too. We'll see you soon. It's not going to be during while the trial's on, except Tuesday night. I would like to maybe go live. Well, I can't Tuesday night. Wednesday night. Well, we normally do Wednesdays at noon, but I'm wondering with this trial going. We're going to be on jury watch pretty soon.
Oh, fingers crossed this is finally over.
So I know. So sometime this week we should, when they're done with their closings and the jury's off. Do you want to listen to the instructions and all that, or are you good with? Do you listen to the jury instructions? Well, I was going to say, we can go. Yeah, so we'll go live at some point this week on jury watch, verdict watch, I should say, not jury watch. Wow, nothing would surprise me. Guilty. Not guilty would surprise me. I shouldn't say that. Not guilty would surprise me.
Yeah. No,
because I think this.
It's either going to be a hung jury or guilty.
Right. I think so, and I'd like to think there's some other bonehead like me on the jury, like somebody going, I don't know, that's a little weak, Creighton, but.
Well, and then it's going to decide if they can stand their ground too, you know?
Right. And not just be talked into, we need a verdict, because the judge is going to put pressure on them to not hang. Yeah. Big time. There's I forgot what it's called.
I agree.
Allen or something. Yeah. They can put some big pressure on them. So.
Yeah.
I could see that happening. And I could see me being like, okay, fine. If you all think he's guilty, fine. Yeah, whatever. I mean, it's not like but I don't know with murder. The death penalty is off the table, by the way. I don't know if you know that. Yeah. Yep. So.
Yeah.
All right, my dear. Well, it's been fun.
Right.
Any final thoughts? Any final thoughts before? No, you're tired.
I was going to say earlier about the Mazzell property. I'm sure you know, and the whole drug dealing thing. Did you know he bought that property for $5?
Yeah, it was some kind of
drug dealer.
Right. It was some kind of
the last name is that Bullware guy. So back in the 90s, there was like a huge there was a drug bust that went down, and it's called Jackpot, and it happened in South Carolina Low Country. And one of the main players was that Bullware guy. I can't think of his first name. It starts with a B. But anyway, that's who he got Mizell from for $5.
Right, but there was some kind of was it a settlement though, or something?
Well,
Was he
Alex said
partner?
earlier on the stand that it was to pay back one of his bad property
Right.
deals because Bullware owed him
Right.
money. So he's like, I'll just give you Mizell instead.
Mhm.
But all of that seems pretty sus. So
This whole idea of somebody, okay, of him paying an assassin, it doesn't look like a profession, like somebody would.
no.
It looked so messy. It was so messy.
Yeah.
That's why I'm more inclined to think it was some kids or whatever that Paul, rubbed the wrong way.
Sure.
And the other thing is, just from a human standpoint, his dad was in really bad shape. His mom's in really bad shape.
Mhm.
So let's just murder part of my family right now. Like his dad died a day later. I don't know. There's just something not right here. Like there's just something that
Sure.
doesn't make sense to me. And it's been this way. But when again, for those who are listening and don't know where I'm coming from, I was following this Murdaugh thing before the murders, big time.
Yeah.
So when the murders happened, I just assumed he was responsible, like he lost it,
Yeah.
or they confronted, whatever. I didn't give it a whole lot of thought. So now that I'm seeing this, it's just the trial I don't like. I don't like the tactics of this trial. That's all that I'm bringing up.
And that's
'Cause I
fair.
watch enough
That's very fair.
Yeah, and I watch enough trials. I think I'm getting better at this, and I think it's important. I just think it's important. All right, sleepyhead.
Well, and like I said, I put that tweet out about like the time of death because I was curious what others thought.
Right,
and there were
right.
3 or 4 people who said that it was not proven. So that's why I
Right.
really think it's going to be a hung jury.
That wasn't proven. The gun wasn't proven, really.
Yeah.
Which gun it was. One of them's gone. Like it's just too much weird stuff that I'm not comfortable with. That
Yeah.
Too Deep says, thank you, ladies. Thank you, chatters. In the chat, reality is stranger than fiction. That is for sure. I will be shocked if he's not found guilty. Yeah, I'll be surprised, but I will be happy just because I think that means the jury and the justice system is working. But I would be surprised if he's not found guilty, which is really, So okay, so
all right. Well, I'll
thank
see you later.
Yeah, see you during the
Thank
week. It's
you.
going to be an interesting week. I can't wait for closing.
I know.
They're going to be long. They're going to be long. Oh my God. I
Oh
hope
my God.
Creighton can type his closings. Yeah.
They said, minimum of 2 hours each because Harpootlian wants it to be split between him and Griffin. And Water said, no, it needs to be just one person to keep the continuity. And Harpootlian goes, well, it's going to be like a minimum of 2 hours. Would that change your mind? And he's like, nope. So are you ready for a 4-hour closing?
If I keep it to 2 hours, he said no. So now it's not going to be kept because Creighton will go first. Do you think Creighton will do the closing and the rebuttal, or do you think that Metters or whatever is going to do the closing and then Creighton does the rebuttal? I know if he does, I won't even listen.
No,
I will not listen.
But you know that Fernanda, this is going to sound really bad, but is it Fernandez? Is that the other agent? That's the other one that I really like. Yes, for the state. There's another.
They have so many attorneys. They have
know.
so many attorneys.
Yeah, I don't see him in the picture, but he's like in his I'd say 30 to some 40s. Tall, dark, handsome. The last name is Hispanic. I hope he'll do one of them.
Yeah, I doubt it if they'll let a young one do it.
Yeah, right.
On the defense, I like Griffin. Yes, anybody but Metters, please. I liked Griffin and I liked the technology guy. The
Baker guy. I thought he was great.
I think he's great. Yeah.
I do too.
Okay, darling.
Anyway. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Thanks for being here.